Welcome back to Gemstone Podcast. I'm gonna be the moderator for today, LP. I'm here with Shy and Z. Shy,
Hey y'all, back again, Sean Marie.
DD, my boy. What's up?
What up, my boy? What up, everybody? Hope you're having a blessed day today.
Man, so we got some amazing topics for you guys today. We're gonna kick things off with Shy. So Shy wants to talk to you guys today about black women taking over the leading roles for horror films in the horror industry. So go ahead, Shy.
Okay, so I wouldn't necessarily say take it over, but currently now we're seeing an influctuation of black women leading, well, you could say taking over, leading horror films and horror genres, being the main protagonist in horror films. So currently, right now, there's four horror films that's on the market right now. One is The Deliverance, which is starring Andra Day, she's a phenomenal actress. She also played um, I'm forgetting her name, but she was a blues singer. She played her on Hulu. The other film is The Front Room. It's starring Brandy, aka Brandy Norwood, another phenomenal actress, one of the OG women of my era that starred in horror films back in the day. Then another film is Never Let Go, and that stars Holly Berry. And the last film is Goons, and that's going to star Chloe Bailey. So all four of these films are pretty much what I'm grasping. The only one that's currently out right now is The Deliverance. But they're pretty much all supernatural horror films. But they have leading ladies that are black women. So I was finding that interesting because I'm a movie buff. I'm a horror movie buff. Like I love 70s films, all genre, all eras of films, as well as I love horror films. So I was noticing, over the last, I'm gonna say, decade or more, there hasn't really been any black women as the leading lady in a horror film that I can think of. Especially not any mainstream horror movies that are, in theaters or backed by big budget production companies such as Warner Brother and Sony Pictures and places like that. I haven't seen it in a long time. So what I noticed now, a film to mention is The Reading that starred Monique in there. Well, Monique was the main antagonist, but she was also, I guess, she was a supporting character more so. But in that film as well. So that film came out about 2 years ago. So besides that, there haven't been any black women that I know of that has had any blockbuster horror films. So I found that very interesting that we are seeing an influctuation of black women leading in this genre. Because as many people might know, Hollywood, the powers that be, when it comes to the film industry, they don't particularly believe that black women are really all black cast unless it's involving some kind of music involved. They don't believe that an all black cast or black leading characters, especially in the horror genre, can really bring in box office numbers. That's why we're seeing a lot of these films are going to Netflix and Hulu, places like that, because there's something that we can attain from being from home. But a lot of these companies don't want to invest the money into horror films with leading black actresses. So when I saw that we have a movie coming out called The Front Room that's starring Brandy. Now Brandy has not been in a film, like a film in theaters, since I believe Tyler Perry's The Marriage Counselor, and that was over a decade ago. So I was like, okay, Brandy is and she's in a horror film. Now, some of you guys, I'm 31. I don't know our listeners' ages, but Brandy is an OG when it comes to the horror movie genre because she was in I Still Know What You Do What You Did Last Summer, and she survived in that film. That's another thing. Typically, a black woman is the sidekick, the supporting actress of the lead role, which is normally a white female, and normally the black side side role, the black supporting character normally dies in the horror film. And Brandy did not die in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. So Brandy's back. She's in a supernatural horror film. about a man that has a mother that is possessed. I don't even think it's his real mama from what I've seen from the trailer, but supernatural horror film. Kudos to her. The other film that's coming out, and all these films are coming out this September and October because Halloween is coming up. The next film, like I said, is Never Let Go with Holly Berry, and she plays a mother in this film as well. She has two younger children, and it's given the trailer looks like it's Cabin in the Woods, Jeepers Creepers kind of movie, and she giving crazy in the movie. And I said, Holly know how to play a crazy role real good. So I said I can't wait to go see that. And the third film, like I said, is Goons. Now, Goons is still shooting, I believe, in New Orleans, and it stars Chloe Bailey and Tariq from Power, which his name is Michael Rainey Jr. They star in this film, and this is also a supernatural horror film, I believe. But I kind of think it's kind of around that. I won't say it's kind of around that esque of like maybe a Blackula type of film where it's a black cast. They're set in the inner city, and it's also titled Goons. Well, maybe I will say, or maybe like a Tales from the Hood esque kind of film. That's what I'm getting from just the filming shots I've seen and things like that. So I cannot wait for that film to come out because Chloe Bailey is an amazing actress. I'm currently watching her now on Fight Night, and it stars her, and it's the all star cast. Samuel L. Jackson, which is he's the most paid actor of all time, black or white. Taraji P. Henson, Kevin Hart, Don Cheadle. Who else in this film? It's an all star cast. Terrence Howard. It's great. It's a 4-part series, short series. Chloe Bailey is doing her thing in this movie. She doesn't come in until I believe episode 2, but she's doing her thing. So Chloe is a amazing actress, amazing singer. So can't wait to see her work. But yeah, and just notably, I want to add another notable black woman that was in a horror film that did die in the movie was Kelly Rowland. She played the supporting role on Freddy versus Jason, which she did pass away in the film. But yeah, so I'm just intrigued that there are so many films that are merging with black leading roles, as well as Hollywood are putting money into these black leading role films. And I'm wondering what's the reason behind it. Not saying it's a negative thing, but I noticed that because these films take money to make, like over $1 million to produce these kind of films. So what is making these big budget box office, I mean big budget studios like Warner Brothers, like Sony Pictures, like what are making these studios come out, A21, which they produce a lot of films as well, a lot of horror films as well. What are making these big budget studios put the money out for an all leading cast? Because honestly, for a film, especially the film with Halle Berry in it, like you would think Nicole Kidman or someone of that nature, or not Gwen Stefani, Lady Gaga, or someone like that would be casted for their role. Just because of the essence of the film, she's in the woods, like, but it's Halle Berry, like I'm just saying, I'm just wondering what is making these Hollywood shell out these millions of dollars to start these black leading role films because we have not seen that in a very long time. So I think it's dope. I think it's great. I can't wait to see all these films. Like I said, I'm currently watching Fight Night. I'm watching Power right now, and some other pretty much all black cast. And yeah, I just think it's dope. But that's my topic. I'm just wondering what's making these people really just shell out this cash for these. I feel like they're doing it because of the good reviews they received from the Deliverance movie, from other movies like that. That's making them say, "Hey, black women can lead in a horror film, and they can bring in those box office numbers." Because horror film is typically, unless they're like a part of a series, unless they're part of like the Conjuring or Insidious or one of those kind of series, it's typically typically horror films do not make 80, 90, $100,000 in box office unless they're Saw. It has to be a part of a big genre of films. Which another thing I want to add before I wrap this up, all of these movies are coming out between September and October, and they're going up against big blockbuster horror films such as The Conjuring 4 or 5 or 6, whatever, is coming out. I think early October. Also, Omen. That's another horror film. That's a big blockbuster. That's coming out. So you have all these movies with black leading roles that's going to go up against these $100 million like all white cast horror films that have a name. So I found that interesting because that's some competition in the box office when it comes to the dollars. But that's my topic, y'all. What y'all think?
That's interesting. I was looking up some research when you were telling us the information about the horror film industry with the leads and the white leads and the black leads. And what I came across was it said that, when it comes to a black lead, horror films have grossed $70 million in the US, while when it comes to white women leads, they've only grossed $1.7 million. Um, I don't really know the data behind that. Like, what's the outcome, or why they chose to take that approach. But I mean, the proof's in the pudding. I mean, they made $70 million in grossed income when it comes to, a movie production film, um, surrounding a black female leading the horror film. I think they'll take that any day, um, instead of 1.7 million. And I don't know if that's like in gross all. It didn't say when I looked up the data here, and some facts, but it did say that when it comes to a black female lead, um, films make more money, and they say it's due to it being domesticated, um, which is interesting. I feel like to use a term like domesticated for a film is very interesting. That's a very somewhat derogatory term. Um, but that's what they said. I don't really watch horror films. I'm not really into that. I definitely do watch, like, Michael Myers and stuff like that, like things we grew up on. But when it comes to like Conjuring, Insidious, and uh, I haven't even watched the Deliverance movie, and I ain't gonna watch that movie with Brandy either. I just don't believe. That's just not my thing. I don't watch horror movies like that. Now, if it comes to like some suspenseful, because I don't believe Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason, that they're quote unquote horror movies. I just think they're suspenseful. It's just some homicidal maniac going on a killing spree, and people are trying to figure out how to stop him. Um, and I think that's more mental health than anything, because a lot of them supposed to be having some real problems, like some trauma that they experienced when they were kids, which led them to be, that homicidal individual that which they are, that fictional character. But that's interesting that, in the young ladies that you named Brandy, Cole Bailey. I mean, they're very well. Brandy's always been somebody who's been embedded into our culture when it comes to music, film. I think she did the Black Cinderella movie, if I'm not mistaken, way back when. That's when Whitney Houston was alive, because I think Whitney Houston played the fairy godmother, or the godmother, something like that. If I'm not mistaken, it was way back with. I don't know if that was Disney or somebody else, but somebody did it.
Mhm.
Um, so she did that, and then with Cole Bailey, I think Cole played in another film called Hives, or something like that, or a movie show or a TV show, something like that. So seems like she getting her big break in the film industry. So that's kudos to these young black women, getting their rocks off when it comes to the film industry. I think that's important, especially for the younger generation to get exposed to, you know, some of the same things. Because I think we've had a long run, like Halle Berry been in the film game for a long time. Denzel Washington been in the film game for a long time. Tyrese, a lot of staple black actors have been in the film industry for a while. So I think it's time to get some, some fresh new guns, some fresh new faces in the industry. So I like it. I think it's clutch. I support it 100%. So that's interesting, man. It's really interesting that you said it hasn't. And now I think about it, when we were younger, I didn't really see a lot of black female leads, in horror movies. I think even what was that, Scream? Scream was something that we grew up on too. But I don't think Scream was a horror movie. I think that was more suspenseful too. It was just another homicidal maniac going on a killing spree. But it was also a white lead in that. And it was like, a black female support actress. So that's good. That's really good. I hope they keep that trend. I hope they don't, just hyper focus on black women. I'm not trying to be negative, but I hope they balance it out a little bit. But I like to see the shine for the new faces in our culture. So I think that's lit.
You said balance it out. It ain't enough of them, honestly. They need about 10 of them a year at least. All these other films with white leading actors. Well, what I was also saying was that most of the time when you see a all black cast, it's normally a musical like The Color Purple or Dreamgirls or something. And those movies have huge budgets, like $40 million budget, whatever, like that. But typically movies like this or movies like The Deliverance, or which Deliverance had a small budget because it's an independent film, but movies like this movie with Halle Berry, typically movies like that, they don't have a very large budget or a black leading character.
But one thing I have been noticing though is that, and I might be getting off track here, but it seems like horror movies are getting more and more dark. Um, because I don't watch them, but I hear stories about them, and it's like the writing is getting more and more a little dark, and like the content in which they are depicting is showing more of the spiritual side of when it comes to satanic rituals and satanic seances, and when it comes to spiritual encounters, I should say. So I don't know that's something that people probably need to investigate or pay attention to, because it seems like each year Halloween becomes more celebrated each year too. If you pay attention, it becomes more celebrated each year, which isn't neither here nor there. But I mean, it's associated with the horror films, but it also seems like horror films are becoming a little bit more and more um, highlighting demonic presence, if that makes sense. And I think that movie Deliverance was based off a true story, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know, man. I just don't watch them. I ain't no. I just don't participate in them.
Right. But the topic is not like about watching it. It was just about like that they're coming out. Now, this is not new. The Exorcist came out in 1978 or 75 with a starring a little girl that was demonic possessed. Movies about demonic possession is not new at all. There's a movie that comes out at least every year, of two or three a year, about demonic possession. Like it's they've been out. It's not like and of course it's almost Halloween, so of course people is it's about the dollars. So you're gonna put horror films out October, August, September, October to get gearing in money because it's close to Halloween. And I mean, I Halloween is. I don't see nothing wrong with celebrating it. I mean, I don't really celebrate it because I just don't. But I watch hot horror movies. But I don't see nothing wrong with celebrating it. I don't see nothing wrong with people that do participate in these type of practices. I don't see nothing wrong with it. It's not what I participate in, but I don't see nothing wrong with it. So I mean, I don't feel like these movies have have any effect on somebody's life. It's a movie. Like, and Deliverance is based on a true story, but the Deliverance is more so about generational curses, more so about the demon. The demon possession is a part of the film, but the demon possession is passed down from a generational through generational curses. So I mean, it's more so about that, even though that's an element of it. But some people have debunked the family story. Some people are saying to this day, it's a lot of people, different people that studied the story or was a part of the story. Some people said a family line, other people said they weren't lying. So it just, it's I guess it's for I haven't even watched the movie yet. I'm gonna watch it soon, but I haven't watched it yet. Just haven't had time to. But some people debunking the story. Other people are saying it's real. But I think it's up to the viewer's interpretation of if it's real or not.
Now, correct me if I was wrong, Shaw. You was talking about the question being more African American women or Black women in the more in being leads now in horror films and not being killed off, right?
Yes, so more so about, okay, let's like these big budget companies such as Warner Brothers, Sony Pictures, places like this that are investing a lot of money into black women, not male, because black male actors they can get a budget. Black women actresses getting budgets and budgets for films like horror films, which you typically don't see. Typically, you don't see them get a big budget to do a film that's shot on location or that's shot. You know what I'm saying? So that's the main part of this my topic.
Now, I know you the movie buff, so you know all about the movies and whatnot. So I want to ask you, is it diverse in general for black people, not just the women? Because I don't see that many horror movies. I'm kind of like LP. I try to keep all the evil out of my life because there's already enough of it around me. But is it diverse for black people in general? Like, is it more men and more women getting into this now more or getting more recognition for it now?
Do I believe it's now that there's more?
Yes.
No, so it's not really now. We've seen it before. There's films. I mean, you can go back to the 70s. The 70s had an influctuation of black films, including horror films, that Hollywood was putting money toward making. So we've seen that in different generations. What I'm saying now, currently in the climate we're in the economy we're in, a lot of these companies do not want to invest money in a lot of these, even a lot of these shows on TV. That's why you seeing like you wondering why, oh, my favorite show is BMF and it ain't came back on in 6, 7, 8 months, a year, or P Valley, is because they have writer strikes. It's because they don't, these companies are not putting out the budget to create this content. So what I'm saying is that it's kind of, I ain't gonna say odd, but it's interesting how there's back to back horror films coming out and just films in general coming out starring black leading cast, which that's something that we haven't seen in a while. Like we'll see it, like it's kind of like a every decade or so it'll be a few black movies come out, like you know Dream Girls, that was like $100 million box office film. You'll see certain films, and then Hollywood will go, oh shoot, okay, black people are watching movies. Let me go produce another one, and then it'll die off for a while. So a black woman being in a horror film, like a leading role with a budget, that has not been. It's been a while. I watch movies. It's been a while. Like I watch all them kind of movies. I didn't seen every last Conjuring, every last Insidious. They don't even have a black people person in the movie, not one of them. So it's interesting now that you got a budget to pay Halle Berry. Halle Berry has a Oscar. She costs some money for a movie, even if it ain't even her normal budget. It's like interesting how you have money to go film. You got just like the movie with Chloe Bailey that's coming out. They filmed that in New Orleans over a couple of weeks. Now, of course, filming down here in the South is cheap compared to filming in New York and California. But it's the fact that they flew a whole crew to New Orleans. They rented out all this space and put money into costumes and all this stuff and whatever kind of genre. I don't know what's in the movie, but whatever they put, the makeup, they spent money to make this. So that's what I'm saying. Like you haven't, it hasn't been seen in a while. Like maybe a good. I think the last movie they had a black woman that was in the box office was as a starring role. I only thing I can think about is Halle Berry and Gothic, and that was almost probably 15 years ago. So
Well, what I kind of find interesting in Zach and Shy, y'all please chime in, is that our governments and our local governments abolished DEI, diversity and inclusion. And the film industry is doing the exact thing that was abolished. They're providing this opportunity for the black female race to be lead in, horror films. And traditionally, what it sounds like is that they have not been leads. It has been traditionally white women. Um, and I don't even know if it's been white males or black males. It just sounds like it's been traditionally just white women from what it sounds like from you, Shy, and what I read here too, what I've been reading. I've been sitting there researching and reading different articles about women leads in horror films, and it's been mostly white women over the past 2 decades. Um, so I find that to be very interesting. The very thing that our governments have abolished and have made it very difficult to move toward is the exact thing which the film industry is supporting and upholding. That's interesting.
right, right, and yeah, that's my whole point of this topic is because it's like what's the reason why, and number two, where y'all getting the money from? Well, we know they got money, but it's like, what is making them shell out this cash, all of a sudden? Because even me looking on Google right now, the last movie that really just made a good amount of money in the box office was Ma in 2019, and it wasn't a supernatural horror movie, but it was, she was a crazy ass lady, and it was who was in this movie? Octavia Spencer, which she's an Oscar winner as well. That was like the last movie in theaters, and of course we had Us, but Us is not a horror film either. It's more like a psychological movie. And they had Antebellum, but Antebellum went to Prime Video. It didn't go in theaters. So yeah, we haven't seen a black woman in a leading character, especially not like a movie like mine where she's like pretty much a deranged woman. You don't normally see that. Normally it's a white woman. So yeah, and that was 2019. That's 5 years ago that we have seen. And the last black woman to be in a horror-esque film that she was the main character was 2002, and that was Aaliyah in The Queen of the Damned. So it's like it's not seen like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just interesting how all of a sudden you got four movies coming back to back with black leading women leading the cast. It's interesting. And look, y'all, let me if Warner Brothers hear this, if Sony Pictures hear this, Tyler Perry Studios, 50 Cent Studios, what's it called, G Money, I don't know. Everybody, all the film industries out there, Netflix, Hulu, if y'all hear this podcast, my email is cheyl713@yahoo.com. I would love to be in a film. I don't even care if y'all kill me off in the first half. I would love to be in a film. It don't matter what genre. It could be comedy, horror, or drama. It does not matter. Put me in the film. Put me as an extra. Tyler Perry, you always casting extras. Put me in there as an extra. I'm a supporting role, whatever. If y'all listening, if y'all hear this, put me in. All right, I'm done.
So I want to talk about, the air quality. I just came back to the States. I was in another country. Actually, I was in Jamaica uh, for various days. On a little vacation. I need a little vacation to get away from the stress of work and the hustle and bustle of life. One thing I noticed is that I have chronic allergies, so I'm always stuffed up. I'm always sneezing. I'm always eyes always irritated. I don't take allergy medication. I just deal with it. I run a lot. I exercise a lot to try to, get the excess allergies out, mucus and stuff out of my system. I drink a lot of water and, just try to eat right and do the healthy things. But one thing I noticed when I was over there, I didn't have any like stuffiness or I didn't have any sneezing. I didn't have any like irritation. Like I could breathe better. Um, and I promise you, like when I left and I landed in Florida, I I immediately start like sneezing and coughing again. Like it wasn't even 10 minutes. Like as soon as I touched down to Florida, I got off the plane. I obviously had a layover, so I was outside a little bit. I started sneezing and coughing automatically. I was like, man, what is going on? So, a few days passed and everything came back, all my allergies came back. And I was like, man, how is it I was in another country and I was good? Even when I was in Mexico last year, yeah, I didn't have any, allergies or nothing. I was great and I was going running in the mountains and stuff and going on trails and everything, and I didn't have any type of, residual effects of like allergies. But when I came back to the States, in America, I did. So I want to pose a question. Do you guys think, and this is just me going on like this conspiracy theory thought, do you guys think that in our country there's something being put in the air or something being put in the atmosphere for us to need medications to purchase pharmaceutical drugs? Because the pharmaceutical industry is a multi-billion dollar industry.
I wouldn't say something's probably being put in the air. I just think it's a lot of chemicals that we have from all our plants and all our manufacturing, which is not as much as it used to be. So the air could be even 10 times worse if all our plants and stuff wasn't moved away. But like from living out here in Houston, we have all these chemical plants and refineries and breweries and everything. So yeah, even though they're under strict regulations, there's still stuff in our air all the time. I mean, we had a gas main break today that was blowing air out there in the port if you was out there. So I think it's just what we have consuming around us to have the things that we want and the things that we love every day. It's something that we have to figure out a balance of what you're willing to take and what you're not willing to take. Because I'm sure when you go to Jamaica, you're not seeing the same type of stuff you would see in Dallas or Houston, you know? You're not seeing the type of corporations out there building stuff like that. So you're not gonna have the same type of air quality as we would.
Yeah, so I would agree with that as well. Now, I do believe that I wouldn't say they're putting something in the air, but they're definitely not putting the money into making sure the air is clean for us, or making sure the water is clean, or making sure these things like the pollution is better, or global warming, anything like that. They're not really putting, time and effort into that, especially not in major cities. So I feel like, and for two reasons. One reason is if we always got upper respiratory issues or need inhalers or oxygen machine, things like that, that's how they make their money. We'll be always coming back to get something else from them, or get another product because we're congested or things like that. So, and I know like places like Jamaica, they don't have the same pollution we have. A lot of their meat, their food, their drinks, all that stuff is more natural, more grass fed and things like that. So people over there typically are not as sick as we are. Really, in a lot of the other countries, like they're not as sick as we are. They don't have the same problem with digestive systems that we do have. They live a lot longer than we do here in America. It's things like that. So yeah, they definitely they might not be giving it to us on purpose, but they definitely not putting any effort into saving us from it. I mean, we can see that right now with the Flint water crisis. There's no reason why the water in Flint is the water with the issue with the water in Flint is not solved in a decade. There's no reason why. So I mean, it's like another thing is, if you're a conspiracy theorist like me, some of the stuff they put into the atmosphere, if you believe in that, that's to get rid of the poor people. Less poor people, that's less money they got to spend. More less taxes they got to spend on government assistance programs, things of that nature. People that can't afford to get these oxygen machines. I have a friend now. He sleeps with a machine mostly every night, just from what he inhales at work. So I mean, if you don't have the money, he told me the machine that he had was hella expensive to purchase. So if you don't have the money to, you'll just pretty much, knock on wood. But if you don't have the money to get the resources, then that's just it. So you never know with the government or with the world that we live in. I believe that some of the stuff they do is to get rid of us, some of us sometimes. If you believe that, so, yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah. See, I want to ask that question, and then after reading and looking up some things, and just going through some things, it also says that vehicle in emissions from vehicles, it plays a pivotal role in our ozone, and burning a hole in our ozone, and it also contributes to difficulty in breathing and lung damage and asthma attacks. Um, Now, with that being said, that's kind of a coupled effect, because if I'm burning a hole in the ozone, that's the good say end zone, ozone, then I'm going ahead and I'm contributing to climate change, because that means that the heat waves can have more direct impact on the specific area in which the ozone the ozone is being burned at, that level that is being burned through. So I think that's interesting, man. I do think we need to have more, more policy put in place that can, adhere to our quality of life. Um, and we probably shouldn't be driving so much. I think driving, because think of like a city in Dallas and Fort Worth. I don't know the population there, but hell, probably half of everybody got a car, one or two cars. Then you think of the city like Houston. That's a very busy city. Then you got to think about traffic, cause sometimes, well, most times, it's always traffic, and that's always traffic in Houston. Um, when you coming in over there on 35. Not 35. That's 45. It's traffic right there. Traffic maybe for hours. The same thing in Dallas and Fort Worth on 20 and 35. Traffic for hours. So that's just cars sitting there running exhaust and and their emissions are just going, 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 going. That's not good for the air quality as well. I just thought it was interesting, but those countries are also surrounded by bodies of water, so that also helps. You have a big body of water around you, and it can blow in that cool breeze. And it rains like once a day there. It don't rain long. It rain like maybe 10 minutes and don't rain no more. Um, but I thought that was interesting too. But I just think it's very interesting that you know in going to Mexico, going now to Jamaica, that I had much better breathing and no allergy effects than I had in the States. And I remember when I lived in Arizona, man, it was really bad because I lived in Arizona for 5 years because that's where I went to school at, went to university at. They were trying to give me an actual inhaler. It was so hot there. Like I remember one time at practice, we had repeat 300s and I couldn't catch my breath. Like I ran and I couldn't catch my breath. It was like I was like about to just pass out and I wasn't gonna say die, but I just couldn't catch my breath. Like the trainer had to come and literally like perform CPR and calm me down. Well, it's not like I had a panic attack or I had an anxiety attack. I just could not catch my breath. Like it was just I don't know. I just couldn't catch my breath. And that was like when I first moved to Arizona. Um, so I just think it's interesting. I don't know, man. That's just something I want to talk about. It's very interesting.
Absolutely. Health is definitely wealth. And me growing up in Southeast Texas with the biggest refinery in the world in Port Arthur, inhaling all those fumes, and my dad working in the plant industry for a long, long time, and him and his whole crew ended up winning a lawsuit against them and getting all this, still getting paid to this day. And they ain't been working there in like 20 years, but it's a lot of things that we are taking in, we inhaling, locally around us. I wish I didn't have to. Well, where I live at now, I'm not by any kind of refineries. I'm kind of in the country, but just inhaling all these fumes in Houston, Texas, it's definitely something out there.
All right, so let's get to the workplace word of the day. So workplace word of the day is disruptive. No, it's constructive discharge. I'm about to say something wrong. Constructive discharge. So constructive discharge is when a worker resigns from a place of employment voluntarily because the employer has created a hostile or intolerable work environment or has applied other forms of pressure or cohesion which has forced the employee to now quit or resign. So this happens when someone like if you're working somewhere they're trying to push you out, which happens a lot of times. If you're in leadership and you and the current leaders aren't seeing eye to eye, they can't find nothing to fire you by. So they just do things to try to push you out. They start, excluding you from meetings, start having little backhanded conversations, trying to take some of your points of contact, um, doing things like that. That's their way of trying to push you out of the company. So what you could do, and you could also probably, sue and get a check, is resign under constructive discharge. So I want to give you a free game on that. You got something to say about that, Shaq? Because I know you work in HR.
Yeah. It's definitely, I would definitely say if you experience these things, make sure you always got your receipts. You got something to back up your story, and make sure that because people will try to, especially if you didn't got the dime on them, you didn't got their number, they will try to get rid of you. Once you didn't clock their teeth and you know what's going on, they will try to get rid of you. They will try to put you in a hot seat. They will try to get you there or get you mad so you can say something inappropriate. They will try to get you gone. So know your rights, know these terms like Lance just read, and how ways you can go around being mistreated in the workplace.
For a business. Now, Z, if I'm reading this right, it's a Diddy taken into federal custody in New York. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. Sean P. Diddy Combs has been arrested tonight in New York City for the sexual assault case that he has pending out there.
They got him.
Yeah.
Damn. Man, they got Diddy Monday night. Damn, how to start your week off? You thought you was about to eat some steak and shrimp, and boom, put your hands behind your back. You had the right to brain sound. Anything you said you be used against you here.
He
Damn.
was being too arrogant. He should have been in Bali with Russell Simmons. Russell Simmons ain't never coming back to America.
What? Yeah, well, yeah, he was being a little arrogant, man, but he
Yeah,
thought
he
he
being
couldn't be
arrogant.
touched. He thought he couldn't be touched, man. He thought he couldn't be touched, man. Dang, man. Dang, Diddy. Dang.
They're not about.
Another black icon going down.
They're not gonna touch that man. He ain't going down. You know how much stuff about to get uncovered with this man going to the FBI? He ain't going down. What y'all talking about? Is he in there? Yeah, they gonna question him, try to see what they can get out of him, but that nigga ain't going to jail. He gonna be just like Trump.
I thought he was an FBI informant though, like he was an FBI informant. So this could be an inside job. Let's go ahead and pick him up now, so we can protect our asset type stuff.
All I'm gonna say is that psychic woman, Sloan Bella, she ain't been incorrect yet. A lot of people don't believe in psychics and all that kind of stuff, but that lady has predicted this whole timeline from since last year. Everything that she has said has come to pass. And she even said that Diddy is not gonna do no time, but it's gonna be an alternative thing that's gonna happen to him. Either he's going to end up taking his own life, or it's gonna be something, or he's gonna do something else. But this lady has predicted everything down to the month, down to the case coming unfolded, down to Cassie just being the little door opener for this whole thing to come out. Like she has predicted all of this. So I'm gonna watch her video when I get off this call.
Oh, she be having the psychic readings and stuff. The lady.
Yeah, she pretty much said that I don't remember how the video started, but she basically said that she channels energy, etc., etc., right? And
Oh no.
so she was talking about this is around the time when Albie Shore got sick or whatever, and Kim Porter, which is Diddy's baby mama, she died a few years ago. And
Mhm.
so this was around the time when all that was going on. And she was saying that she was like, Kim, she may not have got her just due on Earth, but she is working overtime. So, and
Jesus.
she predicted all of this stuff. And I mean, her stuff being so accurate down to the month, down to the video coming out. Like so much of stuff that she predicted has been coming true.
But I mean, they might be picking up the asset though. I mean, Diddy got it done on everybody in the game. Everybody been went to the Diddy parties. Politicians, senators, congressmen. They all done been there. Billionaires, multi-billionaires. They all been in his parties on his boats, doing little, weird stuff. So no telling what's to come. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm pretty sure he's like the he's like the middleman to a lot of probably criminal activity um, within our country that's linked to our government. I guarantee you, he's probably the middleman for sure. So they probably just picking up the asset, making sure nothing happen, um, trying to protect
I
some.
think. I think that's what it is. He ain't going too far, dog. I think it's just an asset pickup, boy. Not gonna say asset. I think it's just a pickup to see what information they can get out of him, and he might become an informant or a CI. But I don't think they picking that man up, and he ain't going to jail. Now, will some crazy things happen to him, like you said, Sha? Who knows? Because he got dirt on a lot of people that really got a lot of money, so it could make him disappear. But hopefully that don't happen.
That's yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Lance.
No, I ain't got nothing to say. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Y'all might be, right about this. And I would say this about the whole psychic song Bella lady. Just me being a spiritualist kind of person. Typically, our ancestors, our spirit guides, our guardian angels, things like that, they don't typically talk to white people. So that part kind of had me like, you know, so with Bella, maybe she knows somebody in the FBI that's giving her these gems. I don't know, but typically our ancestors, our people that's passed on, they don't typically talk to white people. Well, back in the day, they wouldn't do that. If they wanted to reach out to us or spin or talk to us, they'll typically talk to us, not like. So I'm just saying, like, it's not typical that Kim Porter, who's passed on, would come and speak to a random white woman. But hey, I ain't debunking the lady. I'm just saying.
Well, hey guys, we made it to another end of an episode. We thank you guys for tuning in with us for another amazing episode. We hope you guys loved everything we talked about. I hope you tune in every week with us. Please continue to reach out to us on all our social medias at Gemstones Podcast. Please continue to reach out to our emails, sending us letters or anything you want to send us at gemstonespodcast@gmail.com. And we about to sign out. So y'all go ahead and sign out, everybody.
Bye, y'all. And before we sign out, what I wanted to add was I have applied for the Sephora Squad, which is a salary ambassador program that's through Sephora, has a lot of benefits. So, guys, you can follow me on Instagram at Sha Marie. I do have Sha Marie __. It's CHYMARIE. And the link to the Sephora Squad is in my bio. So leave me a testimony on there, and thank you guys for watching or listening. Bye.
Man, it's been another amazing time with you guys, having some great topics, some great conversation. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for supporting. Keep sharing and subscribing to our Spotify page, to our Instagram page. And also, I think we got a couple emails, man. We gotta read them. Because a couple of people sent us some emails. We gotta get to that. But keep sending us emails. We appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all so much, man. We love y'all. Keep supporting and let's run these numbers up.